Hey, it's Mike back again in The Sims 4 with another Sims 4 house building video. God, I haven't said that in such a long time. I apologize for not being here for, what has it been, like 2 years now? Yeah, I can explain, I promise, and I promise that I'm also back on YouTube for the foreseeable future, posting new content twice a month, and hopefully more than that in the coming months. But for the first couple months that I come back to YouTube, I'm just going to start off a little slower, posting 2 videos on the first and third Saturday of the month, starting with this build and then also with another build that I have coming out later in July, and plenty more videos to come, I promise. I apologize for not being here for 2 years. There's been several reasons why I had to quit YouTube for quite a while. Namely, one reason was school. I was in college for 2 years. I finally got my associate's degree like 2 months ago, which has been awesome. Going back to college in the fall for my bachelor's degree in multimedia and communications. It's just been a really busy time with that. And on top of all that, when I quit YouTube back in 2016, I was kind of trying to figure out my life a little bit, trying to figure out how I wanted to kind of use my degree, and I wanted to start my own business, essentially. So I began working on MP Media, which is my company that I basically use for video production and graphic design work, and it's been going well. Right now I'm making way more money off of that than I ever did working on YouTube, which is really awesome because that means now that I can just do YouTube as a fun hobby. I don't have to worry about the monetary aspects. I never did YouTube for the money. I always did it because I enjoyed doing it, but obviously I was kind of trying to grow my channel to a point where I could live off of it, but I realized that was just never going to happen. YouTube is not the type of platform that everyone can be successful on, especially not a platform that everyone can make a living off of, and I was realizing that pretty quickly. So taking a break from YouTube really just helped me figure out my life a little bit more and figure out what I actually wanted to do with my life professionally. And I'm really glad that I did that because now I have a really great portfolio of content from MP Media that I can show to other employers and that I can really start growing into the future. So, I really am glad that I took that time to grow myself professionally and take a little bit of a break from the Sims side of things. But now that I have that established and I'm getting better at it and I'm growing that business, I can come back to YouTube and enjoy it and really, have fun with all of the new content coming out for the game and catch up on all that stuff. So that being said, I'm really happy to be back on YouTube. Hopefully you guys are enjoying this video and hopefully you'll enjoy the new videos I come out with in the future. And that being said, let's talk about this build. So as you might recognize, we are in The Sims 4 City Living, building one of the apartment penthouses in one of the apartment shells in the game. And I really like how this one turned out. It's a really large, ultra-modern, contemporary build. And you'll notice a few surprises when we get upstairs. There's a bowling alley up there, which in hindsight wasn't really the best idea because who wants to bowl on a second story of an apartment? I think that would be pretty noisy, but I really didn't think about that at the time, and I don't think your Sims will really mind anyway. But we are right now in the kitchen area of this house. It's a really awesome, ultra-modern kitchen with a beautiful view of the city below it. I really like how this turned out. It's kind of like a rustic, modern-looking kitchen. It has the nice exposed brick walls with the brown countertops. It's something different. I normally don't go with this sort of rustic look with my modern builds, but I think it turned out really nice anyways. You also have a mini bar in the front, 2 stoves, which is something that I've been doing a lot recently, the double range. I think it looks nice, and it also makes this kitchen a lot more symmetrical. I also want to mention that my next videos are going to be in a totally different style than this. I'm not going to do any more of the speed builds after this one where I just take the raw footage and I speed it up. I'm actually going to do all of my future builds in the time-lapse format, kind of like my Oasis Spa video. I think that was honestly my favorite format of video where I do the time lapse, but I also add some more motion to it. I don't know, you have to watch it to understand. But if you watch my spa video that I did back in October of 2016, that is the new format that I'm going to go with for all of my future videos instead of this speed build. I had the footage recorded already and I wanted to just use it instead of going back and filming a whole new video. And I also find that with the speed build videos that there's a lot of rambling involved because there's so much video and not a lot to talk about, so I have to just fill in space with a lot more rambling stuff, but I've been gone for a long time, so I thought I would use this time to just kind of catch up on things and let you guys know what's been going on. But now we're upstairs placing all the doors and getting the rooms divided up, putting the lights in this upstairs foyer here, which turned out really good. It's basically just a kind of intermediate sitting area with a bookshelf that kind of gives your Sims a place to relax while they're going upstairs. And, you know, before they get into the master bedroom and all that stuff, it kind of separates the rest of the rooms from the downstairs. Putting in a few wall decorations here. And my absolute favorite part of this build is coming up right now. You can see I'm demolishing the walls to 3 normal sized rooms to make room for a giant bowling alley, because if you're living in a super expensive penthouse apartment, why wouldn't you want to build a big bowling alley? I mean, it only makes sense, right? Of course, it doesn't make sense putting it on the 2nd floor of your apartment, but it's The Sims, so I don't think they're really gonna mind. Obviously, in the real world, it's gonna be really noisy, but in The Sims 4, they don't really care about that stuff. But when bowling stuff first came out back in, I think it was 2017, I wanted to see what all the new items were without having to dive in and build a full-size bowling alley right away. So I thought I would test it out inside of this penthouse, and I think it turned out really good. And I inspired the design of this build off of basically every single bowling alley in the 80s, with the super bright neon colors and obnoxious patterns on the floor and the walls. I mean, this build is extremely ugly, but in the best kind of way. It looks very 80s, and the pack did a really great job of giving us all of those super retro and vintage items, like those mid-century modern tables that I placed down there, and I also intersected them so they also kind of give that interesting look to them. I also am placing in a lot of the decorations and memorabilia that came with the bowling stuff pack, and I really like how it turned out. Also putting in these wall dividers that give it a modern but still very retro sort of look. And I will admit that the design of this bowling alley does not fit the rest of the build whatsoever. It is completely out there. It's just the most ridiculous thing you could imagine inside of a house, but I wanted to have fun with it, and that's the complete truth to this. I wanted to have fun with it. I wanted to try out all of the new features and build mode items without having to go in and build a whole new bowling alley. But I might do that soon. I might actually do that in one of these future build videos, is create a bowling alley from scratch, one of those vintage ones that you might find back in the 80s or 70s. You know, when bowling was one of those things that everyone did. Nowadays, it's not as popular, but you do have some bowling alleys popping up still with bars attached, which there is a bar in this one, so you can get drunk while you are throwing around heavy balls, which is fun. And now we've left the crazy 80s bowling room and we're back into a normal modern house with white walls and black flooring. And we're placing the wall decorations, and then we're going to move into our first bedroom, which I went with a pretty interesting design, kind of like a gold and purple theme, which is kind of a weird out there design, but I think it turned out really well in the end, and you'll see that in just a few minutes when we go into there. Now, I also want to mention a new system that YouTube has. Well, it's not new to all of you guys, but to me as an uploader, it's new. The new bell notification system. So if you are currently subscribed to this channel, please make sure that you hit the bell icon next to the subscription button on the video page, so that way you can be notified of all of my future videos and not miss a single one. Hopefully you guys are doing that if you want to stay updated with all my videos in the future. So as you can see, this is the crazy out there design I was talking about, with the gold walls and the purple curtains that I'm placing right now. I think it turned out really good in the end. I'm kind of trying to play around with all sorts of colors that I never really tried before. I think in the past I was a little too focused on choosing safe colors like black and white and neutrals, you know, all that stuff. But this is only a game, so I wanted to try some interesting out there patterns and combinations just to see what would happen. So I think it turned out really good. It kind of reminds me of like a luxury, like regal, you know, royal purple, something like that. I don't know, it looks really cool and I like it. I think it turned out really nice. Moving now into the bathroom, which also has an interesting design to it as well. You can see I started off with a white and gray theme, which is really boring and really, in my opinion, it's too safe. I want to try something a little different, so I did put in the gold and purple and also even a bright turquoisey blue color, which adds a lot of interesting elements to this build as well. So I think it turned out really nice. And you can see right now I'm placing in those gold and tan rugs and also placing a gold mirror and all of that stuff. I also put in the exposed brick from the kitchen and put that up here as well, which I think adds a lot of rustic theme to it as well. It kind of combines the modern contemporary look with more of a rustic theme, which looks really nice. And you can see I did keep a lot of the same elements from the downstairs, like the wallpaper, and I'm combining it with some of these more modern and interesting elements. I'm putting in that bright blue couch now, which I think adds a really interesting element to it. You know, everything still kind of goes together, even though the couch and the curtains are those bright blue and purple colors. It's really interesting. It kind of works, even though it's still out there. And we are just about done with this room in the house, and then we're going to move into the final room, which is the master bedroom. So this is actually the master bathroom, I believe. Yeah, it's connected to the master bedroom, so that would make sense. Sorry, I'm actually commentating over this build months after I finished building it, so I have to give myself a little bit of a refresher on where the rooms actually are located in this build. But you can see those really awesome wall-to-ceiling, or floor-to-ceiling rather, windows that give you this awesome view of the entire city. They wrap around the entire master bedroom, so this is really the best room in the house, except for the downstairs living room, which is even more beautiful. But you can see I'm putting in the curtains right now. You get that awesome view of the city. This is really like a high-end penthouse apartment that only celebrity Sims could really afford. Putting in that blue couch again. Oh, actually I'm not. I put in a different blue couch, a modern blue couch. And I think this would also be a really good time to mention the next build coming out on this channel, which is going to be a modern minimalistic house. It's a really awesome build using the new glass roofing pieces in The Sims 4. I'm so excited to show it to you. I love how it turned out, and that's coming out in 2 weeks from now on the 3rd Saturday of the month of July. And with that, I'll see you next time with more Sims 4 content in the near future. Bye guys.